We'll call the meeting to order. And we'll start with a moment of reflection. We would like to begin by acknowledging, oh, wait a sec. We'll start with a moment of reflection. It's been a long time.
Let us be mindful of the needs of all our citizens and advance only those causes that will ensure peace and harmony in our community now and always.
So our land acknowledgement. We would like to begin by acknowledging the land on which we gather today is the land traditionally used by the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Shinoan people. We acknowledge the enduring presence and the deep traditional knowledge and philosophies of the indigenous peoples with whom we share this land today. Are there any declarations of a pecuniary interest in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Seeing none, we have some minutes. I'll need a motion when I get this organized. The following minutes be adopted as presented. The minutes of the November 25th, 2025 quarter revision meeting, minutes of the December 6th, 2025 quarter revision meeting, minutes of the February 10th, 2026 council meeting, minutes of the February 24th, 2026 committee of the whole meeting. Could I have a mover for that? Councillor Brick, second by Councillor Herget, all in favor, and that's carried. No petitions, presentations, none. We have a delegation. I need a motion that Alan Langdon, Chief Administrative Officer of Circular Materials, and Jennifer Kerr from Circular Materials may be received as delegations. Moved by Councillor Sebin, second by Councillor Wagner. All in favor, and that's carried. And they're on virtually.
Good evening. And maybe just a quick correction. My title is Chief Executive Officer, but pleased to present. And if it's okay, I can dive right into the presentation and then maybe take any questions after.
That's wonderful. Yep, we can see your.
You can see the deck?
Yeah, we can see everything on the screen. So.
Okay, so I think the clerk's driving it. So if they could just go to next slide. So today I'm just going to talk a little bit about circular materials, a little bit about the transition to EPR and some of the actions we've taken, provide some updates specific to the Township of Wellesley, and then just a couple slides on looking ahead. Next slide. So first of all, if you're not aware, don't know too much about circular materials, we're what's called a producer responsibility organization. We support producers in meeting their EPR obligations for Blue Box in Ontario. We're also the administrator of the common collection system on behalf of all pros operating in Ontario. And as we continue this transformation across Waterloo region and the province, we're doing presentations like this because your feedback and partnership is critical to supporting all Ontario residents and communities. Next slide. And before I go further, I just want to highlight for us the importance of ongoing collaboration. We're committed to delivering an enhanced recycling program across the province. And we really appreciate the ongoing collaboration, feedback, and partnership in supporting this transition, and focused on working together with all levels of government on providing support to residents and communities. Next slide. In terms of our goals, one is we want to meet Ontario's Blue Box obligations and requirement, and that includes meeting or exceeding material performance targets set out in the Blue Box regulation, providing a convenient, simplified recycling system on Ontarians that includes an expanded and unified material list that's consistent across the province. We want to increase recycling and correspondingly reduce contamination. Some areas in Ontario, contamination rate is as high as 35%, which means 1 in every 3 trucks to our sorting facilities is full of garbage. And we want to advance the circular economy. So we have a packaging innovation material access program that returns processed material back to producers for use in new products and packaging. Next slide. In terms of the transition to EPR in Ontario, it's the largest recycling transition ever undertaken in Canada. For me personally, this will be the 6th or 7th transition I've done to EPR in the country. And we've been leading this transition since 2023, reaching over 5 million households to date. While many communities had a seamless recycling experience, some communities did experience collection and change management challenges. And I just want to note that transition to the scale often come with short-term challenges. So our team, I think, has responded quickly to work with our service providers and ensure operational issues are addressed, including taking immediate action where required to resolve miscollections. And above all, we remain committed to delivering an efficient and effective recycling service that meets resident and community needs. Next slide. I want to just touch on this briefly because there's a lot of focus on collection, but really a lot of the work, the important work in this program will be behind the scenes in making sure that the material collected can actually be recycled and that it meets the performance management targets. And I've included them here. It shows you that we have specific management targets for each of 5 categories of materials and then beverage containers. Please note these targets are based on the amount of material that's actually recycled, not just collected. So we have to be able to confirm and validate that the material we collect is actually recycled and it can be turned into a commodity that can be used to make a new product or a new package. I'd particularly highlight flexible plastic targets. It may seem low, but there's very little in the way, much of the recycled or much of the flexible plastic put into the marketplace today is not easily recyclable. And so even meeting these targets will be a significant challenge and will be a feature of much of the work we need to do in the next few years in terms of new innovation and new technologies for the system. Next slide. In terms of that system, as of January 1st, we're servicing 395 communities, 383 of those municipalities with 12 First Nations. 330 of those communities are serviced through curbside collection, while 65 communities have depot-only collection. All that material is consolidated at 43 receiving facilities across the province where the collection trucks will drop off the recycling and it's consolidated and put into large tractor trailers to be taken to a sorting facility. Next slide. In terms of key actions, we continue to focus on service delivery, resident education, and stakeholder engagement. We've been executing a proactive multi-channel communication strategy to share benefits and changes with residents, and that programming has been running in the Waterloo region since November of 2025. We have additional educational resources available on our promotion education portal, and a link to that portal is in the presentation. We're committed to ongoing engagement with communities and municipalities and continue to respond to resident needs and ensure accountability and continuous improvement. And we also have key collaborations upcoming with environmental, educational, and community stakeholders, including Pollution Probe, Earth Rangers, and Eco Schools, to enhance recycling awareness and efforts. Next slide. In terms of updates for the Township of Wellesley, Wellesley Township recycling is now collected by Miller Waste. On March 3rd, Circular Materials aligned with the region of Waterloo's garbage and organics collection changes and adjusted the recycling schedule to a bi-weekly collection schedule, alternating with garbage. Since January 1st, we've been working closely with Miller Waste to ensure residents receive their additional blue boxes to accommodate the change. Residents who do not have their additional boxes are asked to contact Miller Waste, and then their information can be found on the Circular Materials Wellesley specific page. While most residents didn't experience a schedule change, those that did can find their community collection schedule and zone maps on our Circular Materials app, the region's WasteWiz app, or the Circular Materials Wellesley webpage. After June 1st, 2026, residents who find they do not need additional blue boxes can return it to the Miller office in Cambridge or contact Miller customer service for more information. Next slide. In terms of the first 60 days, just want to highlight a couple things that we saw. Obviously, it was not our preference to launch on January 1st, but that's what the regulation said. And of course, because of that, we saw weather delays and increased volume due to the holiday season. And particularly in January and February, there was significant snowfall, more than 225 centimeters of snow, combined with a province-wide salt shortage. So there was some underserviced roads and some extremely difficult driving conditions. Despite that, Waterloo region saw minimal delays and service disruptions. We've also seen some issues with resident call volumes and wait times. So we've seen a minor increase in that respect, but Miller has onboarded additional staff to support volume, resolve backlogs and escalations. And we've also implemented real-time service monitoring tools to identify hotspots quickly. Next slide. For resident inquiries and support, this is on our website, but just as a point of reference, if people are having issues with their collection, miscollections, their first point of contact should be the contractor, Miller Waste. We've included their details here, including their online inquiry form at area 22 at millerwaste.ca. Second point of contact is Circular Materials. If they're not getting responses or not getting the service they need, and they've already tried the contractor, they can phone us or email us at customer service at circularmaterials.ca. And then if elected officials are having inquiries from their constituents and need assistance, we have emails specific to that, including mayor at circularmaterials.ca and councillor at circularmaterials.ca. Looking ahead, we're going to continue to support residents while delivering an enhanced recycling system across the province. We'll continue to partner with our service providers and support continuous improvement. Continue collaborating with government, stakeholders, and partners to drive progress. And part of that will be through investments we're making in innovation and technology. Successful transitions require collaboration. So we have ongoing meetings like this with both municipal elected officials as well as staff. And we do host regular Ontario Municipality Working Group meetings, the next one taking place on March 25th, where we share ongoing updates with municipal staff. And, we look forward to progress in building a trusted and resilient recycling system that meets community needs and sets a new standard for Ontario and Canada. So with that, that concludes my presentations. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation, and I'll open it up for questions. Councillor Hergen.
I had one question regarding the blue boxes. There's quite a few areas in St. Clements and Hawkesville, and I believe Bamberg, that did not receive the blue bins, but you kind of answered that in your slideshow, and I did message Miller and got a reply that they're working on it. So.
Yeah, so we're aware that some were missed, and Miller has indicated that they're following up with residents and hope to complete that work before the end of the week, ensuring everyone gets their additional blue boxes.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, Councillor Wagner.
No, that was my question too, because the whole town of Hawkesville has not gotten any new blue boxes. So kind of like, on garbage day, one side of the street got done on Getty's, one got on Broadway, and the rest all didn't get done. So the whole town of Hawkesville has not received any new blue bins. So, but that's answered my question.
Contacted Miller?
I haven't, but because I wasn't sure, because it's the whole town. So kind of would have thought that somebody would have realized that a whole town in the township got missed.
Yeah.
So we could definitely share that with Miller Waste after this meeting, just to ensure, but it's our understanding they're aware of these gaps and have teams out following up and making sure that they're addressed this week. So well, maybe not before, but by the end of Friday, that we anticipate most of these things will be addressed.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Councillor Brick.
Previously in the region of Waterloo, the businesses recycling was picked up, and that's no longer supported by Circular Materials. Just I don't believe there's a forward plan with that from your direction, but is there any changes to that in the future, or is this the model going forward?
Yeah, great question. So, one is the reason for that was those locations were not defined as eligible sources within the regulation. And so it's been known for quite some time that they would not be included in the common collection system. I would say that we're having conversations with a number of bodies, a number of municipal organizations, such as Big City Mayor's Caucus, mayor and regional chairs, Marco, as well as AMO, and certainly ongoing discussions on, is there opportunities to solve some of these issues and challenges? So I think they've been productive conversations to date, and we'll continue to have those conversations go forward and see if they're in partnership and collaboration, we can find a solution that meets the needs of the communities, as well as ensuring that we have appropriate controls and cost recovery options in place.
Okay. And another question, Rick.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation, Alan. Following up on Councillor Brick's question a little bit. So our municipal facilities also do not receive pickup, and understanding that Circular Materials is not responsible for that. if we're able to secure contracts with a private company to pick up, is Circular Materials then still responsible for the recycling of that? And is there an option for those private companies to bring the recycling to your facilities?
That's an interesting question. So I think that's part of the work that needs to happen. So there's a limited amount of capacity in the system. Now we think there is going to be capacity to address some of the issues. But in part of the conversations I've had, it's really about thinking, what kind of phased approach could we undertake to really ensure that we can address some of these issues? I'll be honest that municipal buildings and facilities haven't been at the top of the list. The top of the list in the discussions I had so far have included things like food banks and places of worship, as well as businesses that are integrated within residential settings. So small apartment buildings where you have 3 or 4 floors of apartments and then a level of ground level retail. So those are the initial things. And then I think anything beyond that would be part of a further discussion, but that's our initial thinking. And that's been the focus of conversations to date.
Thank you.
Yeah, so any other questions? Just a comment from, did you have a question? Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Thanks, Alan. My question is just about reporting. So
Yep.
You had your kind of percentage targets for recovery. What is your legislative requirement is there one to report that? And at what scale, if there is, what scale will you be reporting that at? So is it at a grain of detail that, say at the regional level or at the municipal level where, for example, the Region of Waterloo or the Township of Wellesley would know how well we're doing on the recovery of some of those materials? Or is it that fine a detail, or is it province-wide or any at all?
It's province-wide. I'd have to look back and see in our performance report if there's breakouts for what's collected, but certainly on what's recycled. Part of the complication in Ontario is there's multiple pros that pick up this material and process it. And so each of those pros has to submit a performance management report, and then those have to be condensed and compiled by the regulator RIPRA. And that process can take a number of months. So annually, we'll submit a performance management report in May, but we don't drive or determine when the final report by RIPRA is issued. So in other jurisdictions, we do everything. And so every year in New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Alberta, we just publish an annual report with all those details. But because of how complex Ontario is, it's going to be a bit more challenging, both in terms of details and timelines.
Any other questions? So I'll just maybe make a bit of a comment as I'm in the village of Wellesley, and from what I can see, things have gone quite well. The one hiccup that I see today was not a day that the blue boxes should have been out. And for some reason, I think a lot of the customers or a lot of the residents didn't realize that. So whether they're on that regional app or not, I'm not sure. But they're still out there now, and they're not going to be picked up. So that communication piece, I think, is going to have to be looked at. I'm not sure whether that's your responsibility or whether that's the region's responsibility.
That's our responsibility. We're responsible for the recycling, but certainly we've collaborated with the region and our collectors. And certainly there's information on our app. It may be just there are not enough people on the region's app or our app. And so that might be one of the gaps. Certainly we can, my colleague Jennifer Kerr is here. She could take it back to our marketing team and just see if there's anything we can do. And it's something we'll monitor if we continue to have problems. But my expectation is that after the first couple of goes, people will understand that recycling alternates with garbage, and that'll be the easiest way to determine, what week is garbage and what week is recycling.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of the app that the region has put out. It works extremely well. So hopefully people will. I imagine there's individuals that aren't, maybe some seniors that don't have the phones or don't go to an app or whatever it may be. So somehow or other, we're going to have to get the message out to them as well. But apart from that, I thought, the first week, admitting that there would be challenges, but I think it went reasonably smooth. I know you put extra trucks out at one point, and I understand that was at your own cost, so that's appreciated. But yeah, it's a change and I think people are just going to have to get used to it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And I think both ourselves and our contractor Miller, are trying to do our best to ensure that residents, have a reliable service, but appreciate that feedback. And hopefully that will continue. But if, at any point there's challenges, you have our contact information. And certainly if there are any issues you need support with the residents, really encourage you to use either mayor@circularmaterials.ca or council@circularmaterials.ca. And my colleague Jennifer helps support that email box. And certainly we try and get back to you and resolve issues within 1 or 2 business days.
I think I have one more. I have another question from
Yeah.
Council.
Yeah, thank you. One more question. As you probably know, this week or the past couple of weeks, we've transitioned to a rolling bin system for garbage and green bin material. There's questions in the community if there is plans for rolling bins in terms of recycling. Is that something that you guys offer through your program, or is that something in the future?
Yeah, that's something more in the future. So we have a contract with Miller. It's to deliver blue box service for at least the next few years. Whenever that contract comes to end, there'll be a competitive procurement process. And at that time, all sorts of options, both blue box as well as carts, will be, put forward as opportunities. And from there, it may be that we go to carts at a future date.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's it for questions. One more comment, maybe I'll talk with our clerk for a minute and we could, or our communication people, some of the information, the contact information that you have now, maybe we can put that on our social media to make sure our residents are aware as best possible. So we'll take that back and see what we can do to help out. So anyway, thank you very much for coming out or speaking tonight. Oh,
Thanks very much for having us. And again, if you ever need any issue, we've provided contact, but really appreciate the opportunity to speak to council tonight. And yeah, I hope everyone has a wonderful night.
I see Jennifer there now. So thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Okay, so we'll now go to the committee of the whole. I need a motion that council rise and go into the committee of the whole to receive reports and recommendations. Moved by Councillor Seven, second by Councillor Wagner. All in favor? And we'll move to Road and Bridge. Councillor Herget.
Thank you, Mayor Noah. R&B 3/2026, bridge number 0001, rehabilitation on Road 116, tender award. I need a motion, whereas Township of Perth East staff and council have supported this project award through their 2026 approved budget process. And whereas the Township of Perth East is responsible for 50% of the cost of the project as per the boundary road agreement to be billed upon project completion. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Wellesley approve the award of contract number 2026-02 for the rehabilitation of bridge number 0001 on Road 116 to Wellington Construction Contractors Incorporated for a total tender amount of $403,000 plus applicable HST to be funded from the Canadian Community Building Fund. Can I get a mover? Councillor Brick, seconded by Councillor Seven. Does the director have a report?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Herget. So this tender for rehabilitation of the bridge on Road 116, which is a boundary road. Per the recommendation there, it states that Perth East is responsible for half the cost of the project because it's a boundary road. Their council approved the expense in their capital budget for 2026. So they're on board with the project. It's just whether you approve the tender award or not. The scope of work includes mostly concrete work, some deck and wing wall concrete repairs, as well as new barrier walls. The project tender came in well under the approved budget. And we've seen that with other tenders already this year, which is a good thing for us. So staff are recommending awarding the project to Wellington Construction Contractors, who came in with a bid of $403,000, as you said. And the Wellesley Township portion of the project, just over $200,000 to be fully funded from the CCBF, formerly the gas tax, which is an annual federal grant that we received for infrastructure improvements. So.
Thank you. Any questions? I just had one, I think I read in the start date, but when were they planning on working?
Yes, I did have the start date in there. I don't
Seemed like it was
remember, but it
early.
is in the report there.
Are they not held back by the fish spawning or?
No, there's no anticipated in-water works.
Okay,
So that's why the fish window doesn't affect this project. So you're right. This one is anticipated to be started, I believe it was May 4th,
something, yeah.
if I recall.
okay. No more questions. I'll call the question. All in favor? And that's carried unanimous. Moving on to R&B 4/2026 electric pickup truck contract number 2026-04. I need a motion that the council of the Township of Wellesley approve the award of contract number 2026-04 to Larry Hudson Chevrolet Buick GMC for the supply of a new full electric half-ton pickup truck for the Public Works Department for a total purchase price of $62,081.32, inclusive of applicable HST. And further, that $52,081.32 of this purchase be funded from the Public Works Equipment Replacement Reserve, with the remaining $10,000 to be funded from the Greening Levy Reserve. Can I get a mover? Councillor Stebbin, seconded by Councillor Brick. The director has a report.
Yes, thanks again, Councillor Harriet. So this truck purchase was approved in our 2026 budget process. It will replace the old bylaw SUV that's already several years past its expected life, that has become redundant with us using a contracted bylaw service. Going EV so we're going with an electric vehicle to continue the mission of the 50x30 that council adopted several years ago. Staff recommend awarding to Larry Hudson out of listable for $62,000 roughly, with $10,000 coming from the greening levy, which is the cost difference between a traditional gasoline powered truck and the electric equivalent. So the upgrade to electric is about $10,000 more based on the quotes that we received.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Brick?
Yeah, Chris, do we have the infrastructure in place at the roads yard now to support the vehicle, or is that something additional to this?
So the charging cables that come with the vehicle are able to be plugged into any regular outlet. There's two different options. One's a quick charge, one's a slower charge. We're able to facilitate both with our current infrastructure. And then at some point when we do upgrade the facility, we'll include actual proper charging stations. But for now, it comes with the vehicle. So there'd be no additional work required to the facility.
Any more questions? I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried unanimous.
Okay, property and fire, Councillor Stebbin.
Recommendation of the Council of the Township of Wellesley accept the request funds and the petitions and appoint Smart Associates to prepare the report which petitions received. And further, that the engineer be directed to include the report two petitions with the report currently being prepared within the Palestinians petitions as per section 8 of the Drainage Act. Further, that the council accept the recommendation of the drainage superintendent and direct the clerk to proceed with notification to the conservation authority as per section 78-2 of the drainage. Seconded.
Thank you. I have nothing significant to add to the report, except that our drainage superintendent was consulted and provided feedback on the steps in the drainage process when multiple petitions are received at varying times.
Does anyone have any questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Okay.
And that's unanimous.
Okay, we'll move to admin and finance. AF&P 1026, and this is the construction and funding agreement regarding the medical facility at Linwood Community Center. The motion, the recommendation that the Council of the Township of Wellesley authorize the CAO to execute a construction and funding agreement with Woolwich Community Health Center and any additional reasonable approvals required to provide opportunity for WCHC to obtain permits and construct a medical facility to be added to the Linwood Community Center at WCHC's expense as outlined in this report, and that the attached draft agreement subject to minor revisions. Can I have a motion to that, please? Councillor Councillor Bricks, second by Councillor Herget. And Rick will bring this forward.
Thanks, Mayor Nowak. So as council's aware, we've been working with our Woolwich Community Health Center to construct a medical facility on the end of the Linwood Community Center. They are at the point now where they're very nearly ready for construction to begin, at least on the foundation. For that to happen, for us to give permission to the health center to do that on their own rather than the township take on that contract, we need this agreement in place with them. And that's what's before you tonight. The recommendation did say subject to minor revisions for the draft agreement. However, the lawyers did come back with an all okay on the agreement that is attached. And the health center has approved it at their board already as well.
No need for minor revision.
No need for minor revisions, but
there.
we don't need to change it in the.
Yeah. Questions? Any questions? Councillor Stebbins, it looks like you're ready.
I just wondered if, aesthetically speaking, if somehow the windows could be moved up at the end. I know it's just a minor thing, and I know, as we had mentioned before, because of the drop down, it makes sense that the windows have to be lower. But I think aesthetically speaking, it would probably look a little nicer if all the windows were at the same level. My only.
Yeah, and certainly this is a township building in the end, and we do need to approve of the drawings and of how the building will look. So if that's what council would like to see, is that those two windows on the front be raised up higher. I would recommend we only raise the top and keep the window sill at the same elevation that's currently drawn, or else they wouldn't be able to see out of those windows because they would be 5 to 6 feet off the floor, because this floor will be 3 feet lower than the library and community center floor. For that to happen, they'll just have to create a bulkhead inside that would house that window, but it can certainly be done if that's what council would like to see. We can relay that to the designers.
Do we need, you don't need a motion for that? That's a direction. Okay, motion happy. Councillor Herget?
Just a question about the permits. The community health center will be obtaining permits. Will we be waiving the fee for the building permits, or how will that work?
We will not be waiving the fees. We have a council resolution that the permit fees for municipal facilities is reduced by a certain amount. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's a 65% reduction. So that applicable fee will still be charged to the health center.
Okay.
Any other questions? So I'll call a question. All in favor? And that's carried unanimously. Voice is going up. AF&P 11/2026 on board mobile surveillance systems policy revision. A recommendation that the Council of the Township of Wellesley amend the onboard mobile surveillance system policy as outlined in this report. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Brick, second by Councillor Wagner. And Rick will bring that
That'll
forward.
be me again. So council will remember at the committee meeting, we discussed the onboard mobile surveillance system policy. And it was approved by committee at that time, and it would be up for ratification tonight. Following that meeting, a couple of union members did approach the Director of Public Works and ask for some clarification and potential amendments to that policy. And that's what I've outlined in the report here. What we're recommending is 2 changes, which are very minor in nature, but important to the operators for clarification. And one is strengthening the wording around the audio recording. Instead of saying the intent is not to use the audio, that we shall not use it unless they give us consent. And the second is sun visors was written in there in the one section as operators are not to move the sun visors in a way to block a camera. Obviously, they need to be able to use those sun visors still for the purpose they're intended for. So we're proposing to take sun visors out. The reason it was in originally, it was a cut and paste from a template we had. I believe the intent of that was to say that the operator shall not twist and turn that sun visor in such a way that it would block it. But we can definitely take it out of that policy with no recourse.
Any question? Councillor Hurd?
So just to clarify, are we voting to amend and ratify or just to amend?
So this is to amend. The minutes of the previous meeting have already been voted on, but nothing is ratified until the confirming bylaw is passed at the end of the meeting.
Any questions? Call a question, all in favor? And that's carried. AF&P 12/2026. Now this would be here for information. Yeah, this is for information. So it's in recognition of the tragedy, the lowering of the flags. I think we've already voted this. The 5 in favor. That the flags would remain at half-mast until sunset Friday, February 20th, which is now passed. So I don't think we need to vote on that. So that's just for information. Recreation, Councillor Wagner.
Thanks. I don't believe there's anything to report as far
Okay,
as
I
the
just wondered.
Recreation Advisory Committee, so.
Okay.
And I haven't actually heard from Danny, so I think the interviews were going on, but I have no idea what's happened with those, so.
So the posting has closed. Staff will review the applications and it will be brought back into closed session at the March 24th meeting for a recommendation.
Perfect, good.
Can you tell how many people applied, or you don't have those numbers?
I believe there were 7 applicants. That's good.
Okay, I need a motion now that the report of the committee of the whole, that the committee of the whole rise and council resume and report, moved by Councillor Wagner, second by Councillor Seven, all in favor. And that's carried. That the report of the committee of the whole be adopted as set forth in the motions and actions detailed above. Councillor Brick, second by Councillor Hurgot, all in favor. And that's carried. And then we have some information items. I'll turn this over to Councillor Seven to bring those forward.
Basically, both of the reports that I wanted to bring forward, I think they're important for future safety departments. Right through them. They have the potential. Situation. It could potentially be harmful. School bus arms, I think that's the
Any discussion on those? So we will support unanimously, I'm assuming. Okay. Do you need a motion to that effect?
I do have a motion prepared for both
Okay.
items. Reads very similarly. We can deal with them both separately if that's.
Yeah.
everything. Okay, so for information item 2, 2026, the call for reform and publication of the Ontario Sex Offender Registry. So the motion reads, be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Wellesley supports the Township of Brudenell, Lindock, and Raglan's resolution regarding the call for reform and publication of the Ontario Sex Offender Registry, and further, that the resolution be forwarded to the Prime Minister of Canada, the Premier of Ontario, the Attorney General of Ontario, Solicitor General of Ontario, the Minister of Justice, and Attorney General of Canada, Kitchener-Conestoga MPP and MP, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, AMO, and all municipalities in Ontario for their information and consideration.
Moved by Counselor Stebbins, second by Counselor Wagner. Any other discussion? Call the question, all in favor? And that's carried.
And the second item, the enhanced school bus safety and implementation of stop arm cameras. Be it resolved that the council of the Township of Wellesley hereby supports the municipality of Wawa's resolution regarding the enhanced school bus safety and the implementation of stop arm camera systems. And further, that the resolution be forwarded to the Premier of Ontario, the Minister of Transportation, the Minister of Education, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and all municipalities in Ontario for their information and consideration.
Moved by once again, Counselor Stebbins, second by Counselor Wagner. Any discussion? All in favor? And that's also carried. Accounts, unfinished business, new business, move to RCAO report.
Thanks again, Mayor Nowak. Just a couple of items for tonight. So staff have been working with Sustainable Waterloo Region on a sustainability manager position. There will be a report coming back on the 24th at committee to ask council's permission to go ahead with hiring that position through SWR. And we found out that Enbridge is going to fund half of the cost of that position as well. So that's very good news for us. On the health center in Linwood, now that council is approving the construction agreements, we anticipate that a building permit will be issued very shortly for a foundation, as well as relocating the door in the library from the east wall to the north wall. That needs to happen to maintain that second exit out of the library. So those two permits should be issued very shortly, and weather permitting, we expect to see something start there in the next few weeks. And lastly, the staff and the mayor continue to meet with the 3 Lions clubs in the township. We're building those relationships with the Lions clubs, and that is going very, very well. We're getting positive feedback from all 3 clubs, and it's just moving things forward from their perspective as far as being able to get their functions completed and their fundraising, as well as we're able to work on the collaboration of how we can help each other. So we're going to keep on going with those meetings, and it's been very well received. So happy to take any questions.
No questions? Okay, thanks for the report. Move to bylaws then. We have a bylaw to provide for the alternative voting method and a bylaw to confirm our actions. So I'll need a motion that bylaw 7, 2026 and 8, 2026 be read first and second time. Moved by Councilor Brick, second by Councilor Herget. All in favor? And that's carried. The same bylaws be read a third time, passed, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign and seal the bylaw under the corporate seal. Moved by Councilor Wagner, second by Councilor Stebbins. All in favor? And that's carried. Next meeting, committee of the whole, March 24th. Council meeting, April 14th, committee of the whole, April 28th. Councilor Wagner, motion to adjourn. All in favor? And that's carried.